Um, so
Kind, kind
anyway,
of, kind of
but
along those lines, Matt. It's a good segue into GRPC. There's been a lot explosion of GRPC protocol usage recently, and um, what's kind of been your observation with the market and then the tools out there?
they're terrible. So so I love gRPC, okay, personally, and I know Sean does. In fact, all of our engineers love gRPC. The reason we love gRPC is because we switched our API internal API calls from REST and GraphQL over to gRPC, and we had a roughly 2.5x reduction in bandwidth consumption and latency, and also the computation, like 40% reduction in computation of all the marshaling that we had to keep doing. So we love gRPC for that reason. Now everybody else loves gRPC, and Google is forcing it on everyone by putting it, or not forcing it, but pushing it, right? By one, making it awesome, and two, by adding support for it into things like Kubernetes, or giving native support like Istio, all those things. So the problem is the tooling is terrible. So I don't believe Postman to this day still supports gRPC, although I'd have to go check. I don't think it supports it. I think Insomnia does, but there is, to my knowledge, there's no way to really generically tear apart a gRPC payload and look at it, especially if you don't have the protobufs. Now, if you're not familiar with gRPC, the protobufs are like a schema definition for the message, right? They like tell you where all the fields are and how to decode it. And so what if you don't have the protobufs, it just looks like binary garbage. Now, we went through the trouble over about a year ago over Christmas. We went through the trouble of writing a generic gRPC parser. What that means is we can actually take apart the gRPC and make it mostly human readable without the protobufs. And why is that important? Is because if I just took over that messed up demo app that I was just showing you, and I don't have the protobufs for it, I can still get a rough idea of what the gRPC calls are actually doing. So we did that because we had a necessity, because we actually needed it. So we built it, right? So we actually think the CLI may be one of the cutting edge tools for gRPC out there. There's just not a lot out there, but it's getting a lot of adoption. So
It's kind of like gRPC curl on steroids plus the visibility, right?
yeah. Shout out to Full Story. gRPC curl is awesome, but this is different. So anyway,
the visibility is a key point, right? Again, so when it's a black box application, you're not sure how it works. You want to first turn the lights on, see what it does. It may not be easy to change the code, right? So you just say, connect this, get visibility. And even though gRPC is binary, we've made a text format out of it. And that's not an obvious thing to do, right? So that's pretty valuable what's been done. Another point, actually, gRPC is based on HTTP2. HTTP2, you would think it's a lot like HTTP1 or 1.1. So no, it's totally different. It's actually designed for having connections that stay on all the time. It's very kind of web oriented, right? Like a browser could be continuously talking to a backend. Well, you got to build out the HTTP2 support if you want the gRPC. So of course we have paid the tax and done all of that work, and frankly gone through it ourselves. We transitioned our own support around HTTP2, and that looks like it's going to be a big area.